Let's put the spotlight on the biggest story that we are tracking, GST. The focus on that story continues, and the sectoral impact is what we are trying to get our viewers. White goods counters under pressure as the council suggests a tax rate of 28% on them. Joining us to discuss the impact of the same, we have B. Thiagarajan, who is the joint MD of Blue Star. Mr. Thiagarajan, good to have you. First, let's understand from you, what is your view on what has been proposed by the council, and how do you see that impacting your business?
No, good afternoon. Thank you for talking to me. First of all, I am not surprised at all. If you are tracking the finance minister's statement over the past few weeks, he had categorically stated that Hawaii chapels and air conditioners cannot be taxed alike. So there was a very clear indication that air conditioners are going to be taxed higher. Now, though I am of the view that air conditioners are not luxury items, it is very essential for improving productivity. It is very important for institutions like educational entities, or for that matter hospitals.
Sure.
The fact of the matter is, this is how the government has been viewing it. Now, from 26 to 28 in the past 1 week is a new element of surprise. Now, effectively, I have a feeling it will have, compared with the current rate, something like 2.5 to 3% higher impact. Now, I am only assuming that it is going to be 28. Still, there is a possibility when the final notification comes out, it falls under 18. There is nothing wrong in my hoping that.
Sure. What is the average effective tax rate that you're paying at present? Is it correct to deduce that you're paying somewhere around 28 to 31% already? And in that sense, not much of an impact is likely to happen?
No, the fact of the matter is, the effective rate, weighted average rate, may be around 24% across the country. Now, there are 2-3 elements. If you are patient with me, because there are certain communications that are going on which are incorrect. Earlier, the excise duty or SENVAT was paid on the MRP based with an abatement. Whereas the new GST rule will be calling for what is known as the transaction value. The second part is, we are assuming that the rate will be 28. I am not yet sure it is 28. It is not yet notified, but there is a fear that it will be at 28. If it is 28, it will be 14 central GST and 14 state GST, which has to be applied on a transaction value. My calculation shows the price will go up by 2.5 to 3%. Okay, this is my calculation. Now, my industry demand has been, please make 5-star and inverter air conditioners, which are saving enormous amount of energy, as a category which falls under 12% or 5%. This is what we have been demanding. Now, there is another way of looking at it. The air conditioners that are consumed by hospitals, nursing homes, educational institutions can be taxed differently. But then I suppose the government will say it is the same schedule. How will I do it? We will look at it later. All these things can happen.
Sure.
But on the whole, it is a disappointment if it is going to be at the 28% rate. And it will not make us a globally competitive country in this regard.
Fair enough. Point taken, sir. But as you pointed out that, if you could get different rates for usage of ACs in different categories, as you were talking about, do you think or have you proposed to the government on the same? And as you said, that it's not going to be easy task, as you also understand. But is there a way out that can be looked at when you talk about hospitals and education institutions and so on? What's the word that you get from the government on that?
That 5-star and inverter air conditioner should be taxed differently or low tax has been a proposal for the past 6 years. And right from Mr. Pranab Mukherjee was the finance minister, it was told when GST comes, we will look at it. But having seen last night, it may be 28. I am making a new proposal which will get submitted. At least certain segments which are consuming, I honestly believe, not because I am from an air conditioner manufacturing company. I think if coffee shops, cinema theaters deserve air conditioning, definitely educational institutions and hospitals deserve air conditioning.
Right. Sir,
the
also
penetration there is less than 3%. We are submitting a proposal. That is a new proposal.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll of course look at that. But sir, tell me now, with the 28% that we are assuming will be effective from 1st of April, for example, in that context, do you see now a reason for a price change as far as your products go? So, as you said, it was 24% approx earlier, so 24% is a clear upside, upside that we've seen. So would we mean or do you intend to increase prices hence?
Well, I have to answer this question in two ways. One is the short term, another is the long term. In the short term, I think some burden may have to get passed on. It is also dependent on the immediate transaction rules. What will happen for the goods which are manufactured lying? What are the goods in transit? What is lying with the dealers? So I expect some clarity on the transaction rules or the migration process, number one. Number two is, in the long run, I think the industry is matured enough to go ahead and figure out logistic savings, how these goods will move, what we can do to minimize the burden on the consumers. And eventually, I think in 2-3 years' time, we will be having a situation where it is becoming neutral. But the fact of the matter is, my whole fear in this thing is that we have got into a very complex GST, which is going to call for a GST reform. We should not be talking next, 1 year when the GST will get reformed, right? We are starting. I hope it is a very smooth process. But this 28% is really something which is very disappointing.
Sir, but what about your own plans, and how do you see your company getting impacted? Are you hoping to retain the market share, increase your market share? What's the sense there? I mean, how does it impact your overall business and your own market share in this space?
Our goal to improve our market share or grow faster than the market still stays, and we will achieve that, number one. Number two is that it is a level playing field, so it is not only applicable for Blue Star also, so the competitive equations will change, and my worry is about whether the market, if it is supposed to grow by 20%, will slow down to 15%. So it is a market growth issue rather than a market share issue. Third is, as you are aware, we are investing in Jammu for a new factory, and that is supposed to be providing us some relief, rather substantial relief in terms of SENVAT, now new CGST.
Right. All right, Mr. Thiagarajan, good to have you on the show, and thank you very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the big announcement that's come in from the government and the GST and the rates that have been announced. Clearly, you are disappointed with that 28%, but there's of course more that will come. So that's the word coming in from Blue Star. Well, we slip into a short break here. On the other side, we connect with the man